Very good evening, दोस्तों. Namaskar, Abhivadan on this wonderful, wonderful day, which is Kargil Vijay Divas. We are celebrating it today, and we are proud of our army, our air force, our forces in combined, who performed in this miraculous war that we won. I call it miraculous because I don't think any force in the world has ever fought these wars at that height where our forces actually did this miracle. We have on this wonderful day Air Commodore SP Singh with us, received our medal and retired from Air Force, but he has been part and parcel of Kargil War right from the beginning to the end, and we'll hear it right from horse's mouth, horses in metaphorical sense, from his mouth as to how the war started, went on, and how we achieved what we did. Welcome to this channel, welcome to Sam, and congratulations on this wonderful day.
Mahesh, thank you very much for calling me on your show, and I am privileged to be part of your show. First of all, through your channel, through your YouTube, I would like to place on record and the bravery of our brave soldiers and the warriors who saved our country at 1999, and I pay my homage to all the martyrs of the time, and also to the Veer Naris who sent their sons and husbands to this war and suffered losses, but they still, with grip, continued. And that is the homage our country pays to all of them, and we are with them. That's absolutely, you said this is one of the most difficult war which was fought and very extraordinary manner, and we need to talk about it. And I'm there for you, and I'll definitely cover it. Yeah, can you hear?
Very funny.
You,
Yeah, there is something wrong with the internet. I don't know why it is getting slow. Anyway,
but
so
yeah,
anyway, so let's start, Kamarov Sahab. And I want to say that when we got the information and the operations started, first kick started, Air Force was initially the one which went in and kind of surveyed the area, and we initially had some setbacks. I remember, we lost some of our Mi-21, I guess, to Mi-23 also. I remember one, and then to Mi-17s that we lost at that time. These were these setbacks that Air Force understood and learned its lessons and how we prepared, because later on we just did not let them relent.
absolutely. See, I will start with the thing. See, on the initial portion of the May, when intruders had already set their place and they were sitting at all the dominating heights, it was discovered by default and not by intelligence agencies. So there's a huge intelligence failure that took place, and we were taken by surprise. The country was taken by surprise. So notwithstanding whatever came through, now we were faced with the intruders already sitting at those heights, dominating heights, and we had to push them out. And they were sitting on our side of the LOC. That's a major thing. They already had come inside our own line of control. Now, this being there, then dominating heights, for any army or anybody else, it is the most difficult to fight such a battle. And the world, I don't think anybody has ever fought this battle because they were at height, we were at lower ends, at the lower end of the mountains. So from there to go up against the barrage of fire which is coming from top, it is one of the most difficult. Your losses will be very high. And I must tell you, from the military point of view, army point of view, in case of a war in mountain region, the force that you're supposed to apply to evict the intruders is almost 9 times. In a normal land battle on the plains, it is about 3 times of force. So here you have to apply 9 times of force to evict them. This is a huge number. And then secondly, they have to climb up. So they were easy target from somebody sitting on top. Now look at the irony. While they had to fire, they could fire barrage fire on us. Anybody could get killed. Our army, in return, had to fire on a very pointed. Because they were sitting at a point place. We couldn't do barrage firing. It was never made any difference. So we had to do a absolute pointed hitting so that it hits to people hiding in the bunker. Artillery could not reach. So we had to move in finally the Bofors to cause some damage. Now all these difficulties came in, and then while this war started on 26th May, very soon the country realized that army alone won't be able to fight this battle. We need to do air attacks from top. Now, this is the next challenge which came our way, that doing an air war is going across the enemy, destroying the targets within the enemy territory, and bleeding them off with their resources, with their supply chains, with their targets inside, and hitting in the center of gravity in leadership. Air Force is capable of doing. Air Force is a very offensive power to use. But here now we had to use the air power with a diktat from the CCS that it will be used only inside our own territory. Now that means you are restricting the air power to fight a war. But then we had to fight. The second problem which came up was, why I'm covering all this so that we understand why we had lost this also. The second problem which came up was, in
Mm-hmm.
those days, we didn't have any precision weapons with us. Now, difference between the normal weapons and the precision weapons is, normal bombs, when they are fired from height or and dive, their error is as much as about 20, 30 meters up to 50 meters away from target. The precision weapons
Mm-hmm.
can go up to 3 meters from target, the huge accuracy. Now, in mountains, imagine we are firing from
Mm.
top, and the bomb falls slightly to the left or right of our intended target, that is a hilltop. The entire uh, tonnage which will break
Mm.
of the mountain will come down, rolling down. And who's sitting on downstairs is our own army. So, in fact, we'll be helping the enemy rather than counter. So, it's a very difficult challenge
Yeah.
to fire with accuracy. We didn't have that accuracy of weapons that day, neither the A cards nor the weapons. We had the A cards of third generation, MiG 21, MiG 23, MiG 27, and few of the fourth, that's MiG 29 and Mirages. That's all. Otherwise, we had to live it. So, older weapons, older A cards, and that's how we landed up in this. And required was precision. Only Mirages had precision weapons, which had just about come in, and we are doing
Mm.
trials. We have not even done the actual this thing with the help of Israelis. That's where the point comes.
Oh.
Israelis are really helping us. So that precision weapons had come from America, and the lightning pod, the pods which are the laser pods, which fire the laser, and then you release the bomb. It goes on the laser. Laser very accurate. So it's a laser guided bomb. So we had the entire equipment from Israelis, and they were helping us to understand and do trials. So this thing came to a big help in the later part
Mm.
of the war, and we could win the war because of the Israel help, which is a major lesson that came to us. Secondly,
Mm.
now with all this, on 26th May, when it was decided air to be inducted, like my squadron was in Kalaikunda, which is in West Bengal, and we are doing normal range to firing
Mm.
training. So we were told 27 morning, lift off from there and land in Udhampur same day.
Okay.
So we took off from there in the early morning at 4:30 at sunrise, just before sunrise. Whole 16 acres took off from there, landed en route in Gorakhpur, then in Bareilly, and then Ambala, and finally landed in Udhampur because MiG-21 can carry as much fuel only. So we landed by about evening 3:30 at Udhampur. And that is where we saw the commanders all there. They told us that we are
Mm.
inducted in war. And straight away, within about an hour's time, we were with weapons load, we are heading towards the Batali sector. Now, this is how the air war came in. Now, the
Mm.
issue came up was that which you brought out was very good, that in the initial day we had losses. Now, while these chaps were in the sitting in the top of the hills, now imagine any flying object in the vicinity. You can actually track it very easily. It's easily visible to the missiles and guns. Sitting at top of the
Yeah.
hills, the target,
Yeah.
when you fly around, it is like an
Yeah.
easy target moving in front of you. You become a target. So when
Very
initially
much.
the helicopters went in, they are slow moving aircraft, and their missiles were being positioned shoulder fire missiles. So these helicopters became very easy target. And this was not known. No intelligence available
Mm.
of the missiles being there. So initially we had two, three aircraft being
Mm.
hit. So quickly we withdrew the helicopters and we brought in fighters. Now fighters that time were trained to carry out dive attacks. See, dive attacks are more accurate, and in dive
Mm-hmm.
attack, we come from a particular height,
Mm.
come down, and then fire and get out. So we were told to carry out dive attacks because that's what we were all prepared for. Training was like that in mountains. Now, when we came for dive attack, flight leader Nachiketa,
Yeah.
who was the first
Mm.
MiG 27, his gun
Mm.
stopped and he had a flame out.
Yeah.
So he could not pull out, and that's the time a shoulder fire missile hit him, because now he was in a slow moving target because the missile had hit. So he ejected. Now while he ejected, he was down, and
Hmm.
down
Hmm.
below the way he ejected is close to LOC. So the Pakistan army soldiers were there. They captured him. And while this was going on, normal practice in the Air Force is if any pilot is down, ejected, the any other pilot in the air or formation member orbits over that area, sees what is the condition of the pilot, and transmits to the radar. Also, while he is orbiting, radar takes a fix. That position is passed to helicopter which is going to recover, SCR, search and rescue helicopter. So in this practice,
Yeah.
late Colonel
Hmm.
Ahuja, as a buddy, he started orbiting. The moment he orbited, now he became an easy target for the missiles. And then he was also shot. And
Hmm.
this became,
Oh.
martyr. Unfortunately, that he lost his life and he became martyr there. Now, with all this happening, the once
Hmm.
again, and the operation next day
Hmm.
slowed down. That is on 28th. But unfortunately, on 28th, we lost one Mi-70 with four people on board, two pilots and two other
Hmm.
soldiers on. So when this happened, the Air Force took a operational pause. Now we had realized that this kind of attacks are not possible, and if we don't do it, then the enemies will dominate, and army will not be alone will be able to handle. Now to overcome all this, we finally had to resort to what is called level
Hmm.
bombing. Now you fly at a level height above the
Hmm.
range of missiles. So these shoulder fire missiles, ANSA missile or this thing, their height up to is 10,000 feet from where they are. Now look at the irony. All these Pakistani intruders were sitting at a height of
Hmm.
about 16,000, 20,000 feet heights. Now we had to fly 10,000 feet above them. So almost
Hmm.
about 30,000 feet we are firing. Whereas our weapons and they were designed to fire at just
Yeah.
about 4,000, 5,000 feet of height. Now what happens in this kind of thing is, because these are glide bombs,
Hmm.
they are unguided bombs. So they have a ballistic.
Hmm. Yeah.
That means ballistic is calculated for a height
Hmm.
of firing of 4,000 feet or 6,000 feet. The bomb will go, forward throw will go, take it to some distance because air resistance is there and the gravity. The mixture of that, bomb will go to a particular distance. That we knew,
Hmm.
that is accuracy. Now, at that height, suddenly we are now required to fire at almost 30,000 feet height. Nobody had the ballistics of the bombs. And in fact, the countries that have supplied the bombs, they had never calculated because they never had to fight at mountainous region war. So there was
Hmm.
no accuracy of weapon not known to
Exactly.
anybody, even to the OEM. So imagine kariye, in the evening, we all had to sit down, make new mathematical calculations, decide on a thing, and where the bomb will fall, trajectory, calculate air density, all those things had to be done. And next day we started dropping bombs on level flight. So in that what
Hmm.
happened, since we didn't know accuracy, we started firing a buddy route. That means two acres will go together at that height, away from the
Hmm.
missile having height, and then one chap will drop the bombs as per calculated. Other pilots will watch what is happening, and he'll tell whether your bomb went
Uh-huh.
accurately behind, and then come back, make correction, then again. And if this is not all, the next was weather, because weather was changing, temperatures were changing, wind factor is changing, whole lot of factors.
Uh-huh.
So it's very, very, very difficult task to make
Hmm.
sure that the bomb drops at the
Hmm.
where they are intruder hiding, and it does not cause rolling down damage to our own army, which is very clear. It's called fratricide. We shouldn't have done it. So in this condition, we are fighting the war, then fighting
Hmm.
on our side. Now, all these
Yeah.
limitations when we
Hmm.
had to fight, so there were large number of lessons to be learned.
Hmm.
And we quickly, on the job, you can say on job, we learned. We were doing training,
Hmm.
we were doing practicing, and we were firing.
Yeah.
Lastly, till the time we came to Mantodhalu and Tiger Hill. Now, Tiger Hill, we
Right.
just couldn't reach because now there was no way we could reach from any angle. The approach was very, very difficult. We had to enter Pakistan territory and turn back if that had to be done. So that's where Mirages came in. And imagine the
Hmm.
PGMs, precision guided bombs,
Hmm.
which are under trial, they were fired. And they scored a direct hit. And that is where the Tiger Hill fell. And then we had the winning spree for the this. So this is how the entire war went through the difficulties and this. So this is in nutshell. I've covered the entire scenario so that people understand that why this war was the most difficult war.
Hmm.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mahesh.
Very much, very much. Yeah, Kamaro Sahab, then next question would be, because you mentioned crossing the LOC. I remember there was a very clear instruction that we are not supposed to cross the LOC. How
Absolutely.
much did it impact the operations of our Air Force? I mean, simply because we were not supposed to, and the army was right across there. They had their F-16s there around, and what was the role of F-16s around in the POK at that time? I'm told that we actually logged in, on few F-16s for 30 seconds to 45 seconds, something like that, on
And
some of our aircrafts. So how was it? What kind of restriction did it make? And then how did we manage that?
yeah, see, it's a really excellent question by you. First of all, let me start with this: that the air power by nature is offensive. It is supposed to go deep inside the enemy, try to like a cover and destroy targets there. But now we are facing something that's on our side, that is on
Hmm.
own land. Now, the why the government gave that order, people must know. See, we had just become nuclear. China is already a nuclear state, and
Hmm.
Pakistan by through China had also acquired some
Hmm.
part of nuclear. So,
Hmm.
the most volatile area of the world that time was this area, where all three nations which are hostile to each other, at least hostile to India, both of them, were nuclear in nature. So the air power, when employed across the border, it escalates the war very fast because their fear was the center of gravity, the leadership can be destroyed.
Yeah.
So the war escalates. And the government didn't want to
Hmm.
escalate the war to that level where we have to come to nuclear war because Pakistan could have used. So that is the biggest worry our own leadership had. And I must tell you, USA was fully aware of it and US intervention was there.
Yeah.
And this is one of the reasons the USA in this area didn't want a nuclear war to start. This was the thing. And why I'm telling you is, please, I'll take you back to Nagasaki, Hiroshima, just for a second. It was just a 10 kiloton weapon drop, 10 kiloton only, as
Hmm.
of today's, and it
Hmm.
caused so much devastation till date we are not able to recover. Imagine today the weapons are nuclear weapon, megaton capacity. So what kind of havoc it could have written on the whole nation, that kind of thing. So USA was there, definitely there was a pressure from US not to escalate beyond a point while they were putting pressure on Pakistan also to withdraw, but they were. So because of that, we are resisted to our side. That is one. Now the problems which came, like I told you. Secondly, it is not, if it was on plains, there was no doubt. If it was on the riverbed, we would have hit the target directly and no issue. But it was on mountains, and that too, they were sitting on mountain hiding. They were in the bunkers. We had to destroy those bunkers. And once you bomb the bunker,
Hmm.
all the stones which will fly away will roll down the mountain. And the moment they roll down, our own army is sitting downside. So, in fact, while we are destroying the
Yeah.
enemy, our own army is getting harmed. We have to take clearance that they are not.
Hmm.
So, that is very difficult. Thirdly, in hills, when you fire at particular angle where you can pull out after fire and clear off the hills top. Now, for that, most of the time we had to go towards the Pakistan side because that side it was easier. But from our side, peaks were higher. Now, to
Hmm.
fire there, they were on the other side of peak. It was very, very difficult to get the accuracy, fire in those conditions,
Hmm.
and then now we are forced to fire on the level mode. So, a whole lot of inaccuracies
And then
we have to
right.
fight with and
Hmm.
still fire. Okay, so it was a very, very difficult task, almost I'll say unimaginable.
Hmm.
I really, though I'm from Air Force, but I must appreciate the leadership of Air Force. So many innovations were quickly done, training, and it's all. We still had the will to fight, and we created avenues to fight and still do the thing. It was very difficult. I'm just listing few of them for you. So this is one part. Now fighting, we knew very well that their F-16 are flying the other side. We all were aware. See, in all aircraft, there is something known as
Hmm.
RWR, radar warning receiver.
Hmm.
The moment the missile
Yeah.
lock is put onto your aircraft, you start getting beeps. So most of us got beeps from F-16, but we still didn't cross. Neither our air defense aircrafts crossed that side because we were told not to cross. But we heard the beeps and that's it. We knew they were also not firing, but yes, we did get down. The closest came was two of the Mirages, who actually had crossed the LOC for some particular attack. there's no way this thing, but just about 10 kilometers inside, and they came in. That other time, the lock was closed lock, but they came out. So there's nothing happened. But it was about almost 20, 30 seconds, they had a missile lock for 60, but nothing untoward happened. And see the thing, while we changed all the tactics of firing, after the initial two losses of the fighters, no, we didn't lose any other. So that is how we had to innovate quickly and do the thing. So these are the issues which are there, which are difficulties that we faced in all this war. Lastly, point of POK. See, in that time, we didn't have the kind of weapons. Neither did we have the kind of air cards, which are of fourth generation or fifth generation. So overall, our Air Force in that condition would not have had the capability to go and take over POK. Impossible. And next paper, because here we had to just finish this first. So, and
Right.
the war was not to be
Then I
escalated.
agree.
So we didn't escalate nothing. So we remained within the state of LOC. And we still achieved the aim
Hmm.
of doing that. That's no issue.
Hmm. I also got to know Commodore Saab about an event where one of the fighter aircraft actually he was incidentally we later on got to know that in that camp in UK, Musharraf and Nawaz Sharif were present at the same time. And it was saved because one of the flight buddies actually told him not to fire with that, you have crossed the LOC. And that is why they didn't fire. But had they fired, I sometimes wonder, probably the history of our subcontinent would have been very different.
No, no, no.
That
That's
the current
that's
army
why.
chief and the current prime minister of the country would have gone in one blow.
Yeah, that's why I see it is very clear. The reason was same only, like I told you. From our government side, it was very clear that we are not going to escalate it. This was a huge and reason I told you the USA was monitoring it, and they were really without saying we know it. The USA was intervening, and the just to tell you, such visits are done by the generals and the prime ministers of a country in war zone. The controlling countries like this, USA, is generally aware of it. Even if we had gone, we would not been allowed to fire. And for such, because see, once the target is given to you, you have to go and fire on that target. Alternative target, once you find, you have to announce, you have to tell, then it call is taken. So while the ground people may be aware of it, we are not allowed to fire. So that's yes, we all can plan, think yes, things would have been different, but the war could have escalated to a level which could have been very devastating for both countries. So maybe that's in hindsight, it is okay.
Hmm.
At least we did what we are supposed to do, and we leave it to the government because finally the
Yes.
cabinet committee of security controls the entire thing, and maybe in their wisdom they must have thought. So it's okay. You have to live for another day to fight another day. That's so it's okay that we within limits.
I
We
remember, yes, Sahab, you are right that USA was observing because I also remember the time when on 4th July, Nawaz Sharif went to US and was having this meeting, famous meeting with Clinton, US president, and the gentleman who was taking notes, his South Asia advisor of that time, um, actually he writes in his book that Clinton asked Nawaz Sharif that, do you know that your army is actually preparing nuclear arms?
yes.
And he says that Nawaz Sharif had a look on his face that either he was one of the greatest actors of the world or he
Abs-
was simply, ignorant. He
abs-
simply didn't know anything. So that's the look he
Absolutely
carried.
right.
So you
Absolutely
are
right. See, in this in
so
this whole war, please understand what the Musharraf what did he do was he played it
so
very
it's
dirty.
it's funny
I'll
to
say
see
dirty.
that,
See, neither his prime
yes,
minister
sir,
was
go
kept
ahead.
in picture. He didn't keep even look at this. He didn't keep prime minister in picture. Then Nawaz Sharif, he didn't even have Air Force and Navy on board. Even Air Force didn't know. It came as a surprise to the Pakistan Air Force. Once he used the Air Force, that is the time he told Air Force. The Pakistan Air Force was not aware of it. So even they
Yeah,
were surprised. So it is,
yeah,
he thought he can just, I'll tell you what the biggest mistake Musharraf made. He had, as per his calculus and as per the knowledge that what the capability of the Air Force was that those days. Okay. So he calculated very clearly, he must have calculated that Air Force, Indian Air Force cannot come. I know if the Air Force cannot come, Army will no way be able to defend, push them out because they are sitting at dominant height. And this calculation went awry when the Air Force came in, Indian Air Force came in. And that is why now he had to
Hmm.
backtrack and he had to come. That's all. So this is all, things happen. And even, in fact, nobody ever imagined the Indian Air Force will be able to do what they did. So it is just that, grit
I
and
agree. I
training.
agree. It was simply miraculous. I mean, this is what I keep on saying.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, I mean something to be immensely proud of. I mean, what Indian Air Force did at that time
Absolutely.
is
Absolutely.
something that probably are I mean, we are proud of it, and our future generations will equally be proud of because this is unthinkable. What they did. Anyway, so going beyond this, Commodore Sahab, I really wanted to ask you one question before I leave you. Is that you remember the Balakot operation that we did? I'm very keen, and this is one question which I, really wanted to ask you for a very long time. Is what are the lessons that we learned from that strike? Because I mean, I don't know that our forces went, they did what they had to. We did not, the weather was bad. We couldn't take the pictures or videos, and then next day their forces came in, and then I mean, what are the whole engagement of the next day? I'm not talking about the Balakot strikes, but the next day when the Pakistani forces came in, what are the lessons that we learned from there? Because I know Air Force did make its own notes and prepared accordingly for now.
So if you want the lesson for Balakot, if I understand, you want to know the lessons of Balakot. Correct. Okay, I'll tell. See, first of
Yes.
all, let me make it very clear. Whatever the political narrative is, okay, Balakot did happen. I'll tell you why. Because the person in charge of strikes like Balakot, there's a particular appointment in the Air Force, which is at the level of Air Commodore. I was holding that appointment in
Hmm.
2014 to 2016. Okay, I was holding, and this kind of plan was in place. We have been practicing regularly because we knew one day we may require to do this destruction of terrorist camp. Only thing which was required was a political go
Hmm.
ahead, which unfortunately for whatever
Right.
reason was not available. Okay, but after the Mumbai strike, let me clarify that. After Mumbai attack, this plan was conceived, practiced, and regularly every year our pilots were practicing this in certain area which we had
Okay.
earmarked and similar
Hmm.
terrain they were practicing and day night mission. It was being practiced. So this was there, and during my time also, the pilots were earmarked. We knew exactly which pilot will do what and what time, which controller. So everything, it's a full-fledged team, team A, team B, team C. So all teams, they were
Hmm.
well in with each other. Even if a posting had to be done,
Hmm.
it had to be cleared at
Huh.
highest level. So that's the kind of preparation we had. So I am very sure it has happened.
Hmm.
Though I was outside, obviously, I that time I was outside the thing. I was in some other student, so I can't comment on, but I know it has happened. This
Hmm.
is where we are prepared for. So there's nothing we had to plan on like Kargil. It came unplanned. It was all planned. We knew it, and this was one of the target known to us. It was being monitored by intelligence regularly. Almost you can say on a weekly basis it was being monitored. So this Balakot when it happened, the biggest thing, what happened was the timing was chosen in consultation with the political dispensation. Okay, where for whatever reason, for some reason,
Right.
the this particular portion was not kept in mind of that time there will be clouding and satellite will not be able to take the picture. See, that area was covered by some
Hmm.
clouding, and our capability of satellite that day, those days, was not such that we could penetrate cloud and take the picture. Today we have. Today we are again that lesson which we learned, we have overcome that. So today, if we do another Balago strike, even in the layer clouding, we will still get the pictures. That is
Hmm.
one part. Secondly, our mirages who went in are themselves capable of taking the pictures. Okay, there are particular mirages which can take the long range picture. 230s can take. They can take well deep inside the enemy territory at an angular. That means once they fire, they turn,
Hmm.
the cameras can open up and take the pictures. Unfortunately,
Right.
because of the timing and that, this pictures didn't come so clear. Okay, so that is why the issue came up. That's why it became a controversial. Secondly, even if I say pictures came, in the public domain, they can't be put. Okay, so this doubt
Right.
will remain, and you have to keep that doubt going. Let people keep having doubt. But reality, we know what happened. I'll tell you the outcome of that. How do you come to know, yes, this was a real case? In that, about
Oh.
300 terrorists shot, gone in one go. Suddenly there was a slump because entire control of sleeper cells, everything had gone. So it took long time for them to recoup, restart. You see, terror attacks have started now. So there was a large gap, and the entire Pakistan machinery had to rebuild the whole thing. So during that time, you see, there was a lull. There were hardly any terror attacks. So this is a kind
Yes.
of outcome to know, yes, they were successful. You can convince out of it. You can decipher this happened. Otherwise, there would be a quick retaliation from terrorists, and we would have had high amount of terrorist attack as a retaliation, which didn't happen. There's no. It has just started now. So wait for another Balakot. If this continues, there will be one more terror camp will be decided now because from that day of Balakot, we now have much uh, better weapons, much better ACAR. Today we have now Rafales. That day we didn't have, we had only Mirages and Su-30s. Now we have Rafales and we have LCA.
Yeah.
And our satellites are
Yeah.
much capable. Today, the whole space sector has gone up. Our EW capability, intelligent,
Much more
ISR.
effective now.
So everything has gone up multi-level. And the weapons have become much better. Even from the Spice 2000 that we had weapon, today we have even better weapons, longer
Yeah.
range weapons. So
Yeah.
if this continues, this problem of these people continue, you will see another Balakot. And the government is not scared of it. They are very clear. We are very clear. Even in armed forces, air force is very clear now. The instructions are very. It's just a day. We see it is gone. जैसे होता है सर से पानी ऊपर हो गया. You will have, and Pakistan knows this. So that's why.
Hmm.
So the
Hmm.
capability today is
By
much
the
better.
way,
Right?
I have no doubt in my mind about the Balakot because this gentleman. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So
Actually, this
only
gentleman
lesson that we
in
say
Pakistani
was,
politics.
yeah, only lesson
Yeah.
that I can tell you is that which I said we should have taken care of the weather and the capability of, the proofs, what you call it. That outcome at any stage, if you have to, let's say, go to UN,
Hmm. Hmm.
or you have to go to US or some countries.
Firstly, Commodore Sahab, I have no doubt in my mind. I have no doubt in my mind about the Balakot strikes simply because I know a gentleman in Pakistani politics who has been the minister. He said it in the parliament. He's on record having said in the parliament that those 300 people died in that strike. So the Pakistani parliament has actually affirmed it in that sense. So
True,
that's very
true.
much there. But another question that actually popped up while talking to you in my mind, I don't know whether you would like to answer it now, but if you want to take it, you can. Is that now that for almost a year now, this war between Russia and Ukraine is going on, and
Correct.
I know we our efforts have nothing to do with that, but we always watch these wars to learn our own lessons. Now we have Russian S-400 with us, and we can understand Ukrainians are fighting against Russians. How do you
Absolutely.
see the role of F-16s and the S-400 in this war? And are we drawing any lessons as to how effective they have been in this war, if at all?
Absolutely. Absolutely. See, it is obviously war anywhere in the world, anything happens. We obviously draw lessons, not only from ongoing war, from historical war. We always draw lessons and improve those, so that we don't make mistake. Okay, so for Russia-Ukraine
Yeah.
war, as also from Israel-Hamas operations, even from that we have drawn lessons. We are very clear as to
Hmm.
what. But see, the point is, these scenarios are different. While in Russia-Ukraine war, it is Russia is a mega power, and with all weapons with them, Ukraine has no match, and they are non-nuclear. So there is no nuclear hangover. So Russia is able to do what they want to do, except that now the Ukraine has been given aid from the NATO countries and America, and they have better weapons. That's it. Otherwise, if this aid was not available to Ukraine, I can assure you in 7 days they would have flattened out the Ukraine. So much of weapons Russians have got and so many weapons. So that war is a very different war. Israel Hamas is also same. Hamas is a terror organization. It's not a
Yeah.
country. Okay, so Israel is
Yeah.
huge power as far as air power is concerned, and they can do. Okay, so that these are different. But in our case, you look at it, China, Pakistan, and India, they are generally at par. Okay, at par. China is slightly better than us, and we are better than Pakistan. But at least war waging type capability, nobody is a baby. Secondly, all three countries are nuclear capable.
Yes.
So if Pakistan feels any state they are going to lose, they'll use nuclear weapon. That is a threat is always on, and they have the policy of first use.
Yes.
Like we have no first use, they have the first use. So they have created a red line. Same way with China. If China, we ever feel China is going to win, we start doing. So that kind of scenario may the air war and is going to be a little protracted. It can't be like all out the way they have
Yeah.
freedom. And Pakistan also has good air defense systems. We also have Pakistan has got from China HQ9, which is compatible to S400. We have S400 now from Russia, which is one of the best air defense system. So while air defense systems are good, obviously it will deter Pakistan or China to carry out air attacks freely. They also know they'll have huge
Yeah.
losses. Now, if the S-400 can shoot a aircraft which is 400 kilometers away, आप सोचिए if he's getting it from Pakistan, uh, from the width of just about 800 kilometers, halfway through Pakistan, we can fire from here only. I don't have to go. The moment he gets
Yeah.
airborne in war, I can shoot that aircraft. So that throughout the journey coming towards India, he will be under threat of being fired by one missile or the other. And we have called layered defense system. So there is S-400. Then we have the long range defense system, Spider. Then we have the Akash system. We also then have the close-in weapon system. So at every different interval, from 400 kilometers to 100 kilometers to 70 kilometers, 60 kilometers, 50 kilometers, and closer to 10 kilometers, close to target, he will be attacked by
Yes.
various kind of missiles, coming down to shoulder fire missile. So the any aircraft coming
Right.
through all this barrage of fire, it is almost nil. So even if let's say what happens, let's say six aircraft strike comes, at least four of them will get shot down. So what kind of weapon will be left with? And you see your buddies getting shot down in the sky, you will also get scared, you will run away. You can't continue on attack. So this is what is the whole issue all about. Air defense is like that. So with S-400, we are in a very formidable situation in this room. And we don't have to worry about the advance. So I think in the future wars, if at all this happens, we are very safe. We are very safe, both from China and Pakistan. Only thing is, we have just about got units, three more are yet to
Wonderful.
come. That's how we'll be able to defend the entire country. So it's a good buy, good system, and it'll see us through for next at least 50, 60 years.
Okay, wonderful.
Nice.
Komodo Saab, I'll take your leave with that because that was wonderful talking to you, and I think you give a very comprehensive view of the war and as well as other questions that I put to you on offhandedly. I didn't expect you to answer, but then you were kind enough to do
Yes.
that. And till the next time, I'll wish you again
Yeah.
before I take adieu from you.
Yeah.
And I'll wish you again a very happy Kargil Vijay Divas, and
Thank you so
see you next time very soon.
Yeah. Thank you for sparing
Sir,
your valuable time and
okay.
giving me a
Sir,
chance to speak to you.
you might have to stay. Sir, you might have to stay. You don't have to disconnect because the recording will be going on. This
Okay.
will have to upload. So the percentage will come on your side. So just don't switch off. See the percentage when I switch